She has tremendous research experience in the sustainable technologies and materials and published more than 14 peer-reviewed papers. Welcome, madam. Cochin University senior professor Deebaji Nayarana, ഈ webinar series expertise in എത്തുന്നത്. നിങ്ങളുടെ അനുവാദത്തോടെ ദീപാജി നായരെ ക്ഷണിക്കുന്ന കർത്തവ്യത്തിലേക്ക് കടക്കുന്നു. Welcome to all. We are very happy to invite Professor Deebaji Nayar as expert for the second day in the webinar series. She is working as professor in the Department of Civil Engineering in Cochin University of Science and Technology. She took PhD in Sustainable Technology from TUDEF, New Zealand in 2006. She completed her BTech from TKM College of Engineering in 1992 and completed her MS from BITS Pilani in 1995. She has tremendous research experience in the sustainable technologies and materials and published more than 14 papers, 14 peer-reviewed papers. Welcome, madam.
Sir, Deepa madamത്തിന്റെ കണക്ഷൻ എന്തോ ടെക്നിക്കൽ പ്രോബ്ലം ഉണ്ട്, അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് മാഡത്തിന് കണക്ട് ആവാത്തത് എന്ന് അറിയിക്കാം.
ലൈവ് ഇപ്പോ ഉണ്ടോ? ഇന്നലെ നമ്മുടെ വെബിനാറിൽ സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ ടെക്നോളജീസിനെയും അതിൽപ്പെട്ട മെറ്റീരിയലിന്റെ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷന്റെ വിവിധ രീതികളും അതിലെ റിസർച്ചിന്റെ അഡ്വാൻസ്ഡ് റിസർച്ചിനെ പറ്റിയും ഒക്കെ ഇന്ത്യൻ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ട് ഓഫ് സയൻസിലെ പ്രൊഫസർ BVV റെഡ്ഡി, അതായത് അദ്ദേഹം സീനിയർ സിവിൽ എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് സ്ട്രക്ചേഴ്സിലെ സീനിയർ പ്രൊഫസറാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ധാരാളം പേപ്പറുകൾ ഇത് സംബന്ധിച്ച് പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, ബുക്കുകൾ, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഒത്തിരി സെമിനാർസുകൾ, വർക്ക്ഷോപ്പുകൾ ഒക്കെ ഈ സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ മെറ്റീരിയൽസ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുള്ള. പ്രധാനമായിട്ട് അദ്ദേഹം മണ്ണ്, എർത്ത് കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷനാണ് പ്രധാനമായിട്ട് അദ്ദേഹം കോൺസെൻട്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അത് ഇന്നലെ വിശദീകരിക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. ഇനിയും ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ എക്സ്പെർട്ടായി എത്തുന്നത് കൊച്ചിൻ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിലെ സീനിയർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള പ്രൊഫസർ ദീപാജി നായരാണ്. ദീപ മാഡം ഈ സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷനിലെ ഒരു കേരളത്തിലെ അറിയപ്പെട്ട ഒരു എക്സ്പെർട്ടാണ്. മാഡം കണക്ഷനകത്ത് ചെറിയൊരു പ്രശ്നം ഉണ്ട്, അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യാനൊരു താമസിക്കുന്നത്. ഉടനെ തന്നെ ജോയിൻ ചെയ്യുമെന്ന് പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നു. അപ്പം ഇത് സംബന്ധിച്ച് ഈ സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഡിസൈൻ ചെയ്ത് സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ മെറ്റീരിയൽ അല്ലെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ മെത്തേഡ്സ് നമുക്ക് ഡിസൈൻ ചെയ്തെടുക്കത്തക്ക ഒരു തലത്തിലേക്ക് കാര്യങ്ങൾ എത്തിച്ച് നമുക്ക് ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ഡിസൈൻ, അത് ഷേപ്പിലായാലും സ്ട്രെങ്തിലായാലും ചെയ്യത്തക്ക രീതിയിലേക്ക് നമ്മൾ എത്തണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഉള്ള പരിശ്രമം വാസുവിദ്യാ ഗുരുകുലം ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടാണ് അവര് ഗുരുകുലം ശ്രമിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട് ഈ സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ മെറ്റീരിയൽസ് സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ ടെക്നോളജീസ്. അത് നമുക്ക് ഗ്രീൻ ബിൽഡിങ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ മുള, ഈ സാധാരണ നമുക്ക് അവൈലബിൾ ആയിട്ടുള്ള മെറ്റീരിയൽ ഉപയോഗിച്ചുള്ള കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷന് പ്രൊമോട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. പിന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ട്രഡീഷണൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻസ് മിക്കവാറും ആ മെത്തേഡും മെറ്റീരിയൽസും സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷന്റെ പരിധിക്കകത്ത് വരുന്നത് തന്നെ. അപ്പൊ ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ അഡ്വാൻസ്ഡ് മെത്തേഡുകളിലേക്ക് പോകുമ്പോഴാണ് വലിയ തരത്തിലുള്ള എൻവയോൺമെന്റൽ ഫ്രണ്ട്ലി അല്ലാത്ത കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ മെത്തേഡിലേക്ക് നമുക്ക് പോകേണ്ടതായിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ ആ പഴമയുടെ അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജസ് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നതിനോടൊപ്പം ടെക്നോളജിയുടെ പുതിയ കണ്ടെത്തലുകൾ നമ്മുടെ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ മേഖലയിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരുന്നതിനുള്ള ശ്രമമാണ് ഇവിടെ നമ്മൾ നടത്താൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഈ ഇങ്ങനെ കൊണ്ടുവരുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് പഴമ നിലനിർത്തുന്നതിനോടൊപ്പം നമുക്ക് ആ മെറ്റീരിയൽസും ആ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷന്റെ മെത്തേഡുകളും അതിലെ നല്ല വശങ്ങൾ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളുകയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അതിനകത്ത് ഇത്തിരി കൂടി ശാസ്ത്രീയമായ സമീപനം നമുക്ക് നടത്താനും സാധിക്കും. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ സാധിക്കുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ ഒരു ബിൽഡിങ് ഡിസൈൻ ചെയ്ത്, അതായത് ഇപ്പം ഒരു 3 നില വീട് നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾക്കിപ്പം മേളിൽ ഒരു ലൈവ് ലോഡ് എത്ര വരണം, അല്ലെന്നറിയില്ല അതിന് മേളിലത്തെ നിലയിൽ ലൈവ് ലോഡ് എത്ര വരണം എന്ന് നമുക്ക് വരണ്ട ലോഡിന്റെ അനുസരിച്ച് നമ്മൾ ഈ ബിൽഡിംഗ് ഡിസൈൻ ചെയ്യാൻ പരുവത്തിന് ഉള്ള ഒരു സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ നമുക്ക് അങ്ങനെ മെത്തേഡ് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്തെടുക്കുന്നതായിട്ടുണ്ട്.
ദീപ മാഡം ഓൺലൈനിൽ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് സർ.
Okay, welcome madam.
Hello, good morning sir. My voice is audible now?
No,
sorry
okay.
sir.
No problem. It's okay.
Sorry, there was an issue. എനിക്ക് അറിയില്ല, ഞാനിപ്പോ സിസ്റ്റം തന്നെ ചേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തു.
Okay.
ശരി സർ, ഓക്കെ.
മേഡത്തിനെ സംസാരിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി ഓൾറെഡി സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്തു മാഡം.
ഓക്കെ. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് തുടങ്ങാമല്ലോ അല്ലേ പ്രസന്റേഷൻ? സ്ക്രീൻ ഷെയർ ചെയ്തിട്ട്?
യെസ് മാഡം, ചെയ്യാം മാഡം. മാഡത്തിന് കോസ്റ്റ് ആക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട് മാഡം.
ഓക്കെ. വിസിബിൾ ആണോ? പ്രസന്റേഷൻ വിസിബിൾ ആണോ?
യെസ് മാഡം, വിസിബിൾ ആണ് മാഡം.
Good morning everyone. I really want to say sorry, give my apology in the beginning itself, because there was an issue with the voice, I don't know, so now I changed my system. Let me start anyway. Before starting, let me express my sincere thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to present this topic. Yesterday it was a very good function and I was able to attend to that presentation of Dr. Venkataraman Reddy sir also. It was very interesting. I think my presentation is a continuation of the same topic only. So let me start with the topic. Today's presentation, actually I would like to give an introduction about the concept of sustainable construction. And most of my students are working on the topic. So I would like to present their research works also, a part of their research works also. So this presentation, it includes an overview principle of sustainable construction, and then some technological options, and it includes an evaluation of the construction practices in Kerala, what we were practicing. That means the traditional practices, conventional practices, and during 1980s, cost-effective building technology, cost-effective and environment-friendly construction techniques were also introduced during the time of Laurie Baker, and then now also it is practicing. The Nirmiti Kendra, Cosford, Habitat Technology Group, everyone is practicing. So there is an evaluation of those technological options also. So let me start with the presentation. We all know the implications of impacts of construction industry. Actually, we all are facing it. The pollution, mainly the implications are on the resource depletion and environmental pollution, air pollution, depletion of resources, And the recent flood in Kerala also, we actually experienced it. And the water pollution, deforestation, waste materials, everywhere around us, we see the impacts of construction. Actually, this construction is an economic activity and it contributes to the economic growth of nations. But still, we all need construction for infrastructure development activities, and especially for the housing demand. We know the demand of housing around the world. So in order to make the construction in a sustainable way, that means we have to meet the what it is objective of sustainable development. How can we make this construction activities, or how can we conduct the construction practices in a sustainable way? There is definitely a link between construction activities and sustainable development. How can we connect it? Then only our future generations, they can meet their needs. So actually the sustainable construction principles of sustainable construction is related to the principles of sustainable development also. Yesterday also we were listening to the presentation of Venkatarama Reddy sir. He had shown us the slides, and in the slides we had seen that how much cement is used in the construction, and the usage of aggregates in the construction, how much bigger it is compared with the food grain usage around the world. So we know the construction activities are really depleting our natural resources. So how can we connect this sustainable development and construction activities? Or in other words, how can we make this construction in a sustainable way? So when we know the implications of cement industry, we need cement for all the activities. Actually, this cement, without cement, I could say that it is a mandatory material for all type of activities. But the impacts of cement manufacture in construction is severe. So whenever we think about the sustainable construction practices, the first point is we should be able to remove cement from the construction material. But can we able to think about that? Without concrete, how we can construct? How we'll be able to develop, how we'll be able to proceed with the infrastructure development without cement? We won't be able to think about that. But now the situation is like that. We have to think in that way. We need to think about the research activities which can help us in eliminating cement or finding out an alternative for cement. So that's the case with cement. Aggregates also the same thing. So we need to think about alternative materials. Then only we can achieve the objective of sustainable development. We all know the basic meaning of sustainable development. The basic definition, even from the childhood, we are listening to this word sustainable development. Everyone is talking about sustainable development, and related to that green building concept also. Yesterday, sir was saying the same thing. Are the green buildings sustainable? That's a big question, because whenever everyone talk about sustainable development, just the next sentence is, oh, we need to practice green buildings. But we need to think, change our perspective with respect to the concept of green buildings. Yeah, first I'll talk about sustainable buildings, then maybe we can talk a little bit about the green buildings also. The sustainable development is actually a 3P concept: people, planet, and profit. Whatever development we are doing, it is for the people. It is for the benefit of the people. So we have to think about the socio-cultural backgrounds of the people. Based on the socio-cultural backgrounds, only our needs are developed. So people is the first thing. So based on the interest of the people, everyone is doing the development activities. Everywhere construction activities are going on. So first the aspect is people. And second aspect is we need to think about the environment. What is the significance of the environment? Whatever we need, we are achieving it. At the same time, our future generation, they also should be able to meet their needs. So whatever development activity we are doing, we have to think about the environment to preserve the resources without creating any impacts on the environment. And we need to preserve all these resources for our future generations. At the same time, economy is also an important thing. All these, whatever we are doing, is for the economic growth only. And especially when we think about the housing, this economy, we need to think it as affordable. housing options, whatever we are proposing, it should be in an affordable way. So economy has a different meaning with different contexts. Every aspect, but people is definite based on the concept of the people, based on the interest of the people. Only development activities are taking place. Every time we need to consider about the environment, but with respect to profit or economy, we have to think in a different way corresponding to the context. So this is the concept of sustainable development. Then what about our construction activities? How the construction activities are related with sustainable development? Construction activities, anyway, we need the resources. So we have to think about whatever construction we are doing, we should be able to reduce the implications of the construction without utilizing the resources. We won't be able to say like that, minimizing the usage of resources. So that based on the concept of sustainable development, we can give a definition for sustainable construction. So along with the case of one more P is added with sustainable development: people, planet, profit, and one more P. Maybe we can consider it as project. So project means actually technological options. Construction, we need technology. So the fourth P corresponds to the technological option. So we can see the definition. Sustainable construction is a technological practice that involves the effective utilization of local manpower and indigenous methods. Local manpower and indigenous methods definitely connect with the people and technology. And also the local resources, utilizing renewable resources and waste materials. There comes the significance of the planet with minimum infrastructure and feasible technological options. Again, that feasibility corresponds to profit, economical, affordable options. So 4 P's are related with this, with the concept of sustainable construction. So if we understand the concept of sustainable construction, we should be able to evaluate the present practices with respect to this concept. So how can we evaluate? Actually, in this presentation, I'll be showing you, actually, I'm not able to show the entire evaluation. I'll be showing you the results of evaluation of construction practices in Kerala. For this evaluation, we have made somewhat like a framework. This is known as a simple framework, a conceptual framework for the evaluation. Actually, our main objective is achieving sustainable construction. So for achieving the sustainable construction, we have the sub-objectives, the 4 P's. Each P is related to each aspect of sustainability. Socio-cultural aspects based on the interest of the people. Actually, with respect to socio-cultural aspects, if we propose a particular technological option, how can we adopt that? I should have an awareness about the technology, and based on the awareness, the acceptance for the technological option will develop. So acceptance and awareness are important factors with respect to the socio-cultural sustainability of sustainable construction, with respect to socio-cultural factors. And also I should be it should enable self-help or decentralized production. For example, if I am giving you a technological option and asking you to practice it, and I am saying that this is an environment friendly option and this is a cost effective option, you can adopt it. But if you are not able to access the infrastructure facilities and you are not able to implement that technological option by your own, that case, that particular technology won't be sustainable. So enabling self-help is an important aspect, and with infrastructure facility, that also add to the economic sustainability of the technological option. And the labor requirement, material requirement, all these factors contribute to economic sustainability. At the same time, whatever technology we are proposing, the basic characteristics we need are with respect to the strength and durability characteristics. So these are the important attributes corresponding to the technological sustainability of construction. And definitely the basic thing is there. Everything is concerned with respect to the environment without creating much impacts on the environment. That means without creating much impact means we need to think about the environmental pollution, and we have to think about the resources. So based on this particular framework, we have developed actually corresponding to this framework, many sub-criteria are also developed. And based on the sub-criteria and the objectives, a questionnaire was created, and this questionnaire was we were able to conduct an evaluation among the public and among the different stakeholders, and at the end came to the conclusion what are the possible technological options we can propose for Kerala. This was a part of the study I did very early in 2006 during my PhD. I'll just show the results of the options. Okay, so now coming to the construction practices in Kerala, we can start from the very early stage. Traditional construction, we all know the age-old traditional construction in Kerala. Stonework was restricted to the basement. Laterite was used for the walls, and also timber was used. Roof structure was timber frame and covered with palm leaves, coconut thatch leaves, and clay tiles. So this is the traditional style of construction we used practiced in Kerala. But now if we look around, yeah, actually there was one more figure. Yeah, now we look around. Yes. Now we look around, we see the conventional buildings, how they are different. You can think about what we are going, what are the techniques we are adopting for the foundation, what are the techniques we adopt for the walls and roof. We see the difference everywhere. In order to overcome this environmental implications and to achieve cost effectiveness, this cost effective and environment friendly technology was proposed in 1980s, practiced by Nirmiti Kendra, Cosford, and Habitat Technology groups. So we see, if we see a building like this, definitely this, we know what type of building it is, practiced by Nirmiti Kendra and all. So they are, what are the specific characteristics? We see the exposed brickwork, and then the arches, then the corbelling, filler strap. All these are the basic characteristic of a safe technology or cost-effective and environment-friendly technology building. But we are not sure why this technological practice is not in popular even nowadays. After how many years? After 80s means 40 years later. Now I don't think that many of us are practicing this. Even Kerala State Nirmiti Kendra, they are also not practicing very much. What are the reasons behind the failure of this technology? Okay, so the safe technology options, these are the basic characteristics characterized by exposed brickworks, usually rata bond or Flemish bond, filler slab roof, precast lintels. Instead of the conventional openings, they have the jolly works, cobbled arches, and natural ventilation in the room is facilitated through the honeycomb brickwork. So this is the basic characteristic of a safe technological option. And we have many safe technological buildings around us also. But nowadays, it's very difficult to see the new construction. These are all earlier construction. In public buildings, in residential buildings, school buildings, everywhere we used to see in 80s, 90s. But nowadays, I don't think it's not that popular. So these are some examples. This building, it's from our campus, Cochin University campus. We have an Aditi Bhavan building. Actually, two types of buildings were there, but I don't know. One of the building, they have plastered it. That itself show the interest of the people. Why we are not able to accept such a technology, even though there is aesthetic appearance, even though there is a cost effectiveness, environment friendliness in the sense that we are able to reduce the usage of resources. But still, why the acceptance part or why the awareness part is lacking? We need to do a search on that. We should actually need to overcome all the drawbacks, and we should be able to propose sustainable options. Yeah, safe technology, one more public building. Yeah, mass housing also. Nirmiti Kendra was able to construct many, propagate many projects in all these areas. Yeah, now we can see what are the, maybe we'll be able to do an evaluation of the safe technological options against, I would say, traditional construction and conventional construction. Actually, I'm doing it together because nowadays we won't be able to see any traditional type of construction. What we see at present around us are only conventional options. So we'll do it together. Safe technological option versus conventional or traditional technological options. What are the advantages of this safe technology? From the name itself, it is clear: cost effective and environment friendly technology. So in the 4P concept of sustainable technological options, we can take two terms: economy and environment. Definitely both of these options, technology is the common factor. Technological, so we can assume that strength and durability characteristics are there. Actually, it is there. Even in safe technology and traditional or conventional technological options, all these technological options are accepted by the standards. So basic strength and durability characteristics are there. So we need to conduct an evaluation based on the other piece, like economical aspects, environmental aspects. Actually, with respect to safe technology, they are mainly the objective of the technology is on those two pieces only, economy and environment. But with respect to the traditional conventional options, the main advantage of the conventional options is accessibility. Whatever we need, what type of material with respect to this conventional option, we can directly go to the market and we can approach it. It is easily accessible. That is the basic advantage of conventional options. Now we can see the different technological options coming under this safe technology, and as well as these two options. Foundation, actually we are not able to do much on the foundation aspects. We have to check the type of soil, strength of the safe bearing capacity of the soil. Then only we can think about the foundation. Think about the type of foundation. In conventional options, we used to see, I'm talking about the residential buildings. Conventional options, if we look around, we'll see that traditionally or conventionally we were using the render-able masonry. Sometimes we use the laterite or brick masonry, and nowadays we could see even they are using concrete block masonry. And if we need to go for a deep foundation, definitely we need to go for the RCC concrete piling or any other type of foundation or deep foundation we need to adopt. But with respect to the safe technology options, they won't be able to move much away from the conventional option. Basic fact is that it depends upon the type of soil. But if the soil conditions are good, most of the safe technological options are propagated in that way only, with the concept that labor is plenty available and material part we need to reduce. We need to achieve material efficiency. With respect to the concept of achieving economic sustainability, if you are able to reduce the materials, if you are able to utilize the materials, environmental sustainability also can be achieved. So basic principle of safe technology or appropriate technological options are this only. Labor is plenty available, material part we need to reduce. So based on this concept, they have proposed many options for safe technological options as brick arch foundation, stuff foundation. All these are for soil with good bearing capacity, but very labor intensive option. With respect to Kerala, if we think about the labor cost, we won't be able to adopt such technological options. And one more option in the case of safe technology is ground improvement techniques. Rather than going for the deep foundations, we can go for ground improvement techniques and we can adopt the feasible technological options. Those are environment friendly. Yeah, this is with the bamboo, how they are utilizing the bamboo for ground improvement. And now coming to the case of the superstructure. Under superstructure, we have the walls, we have the openings, lintel, beam, sunshade, everything is coming. So conventionally or traditionally for superstructure, whatever is locally available, that was our concept in traditional construction. That's the reason in traditional construction, mostly we were using timber or laterite. In our traditional Nalagatta, Ettigatta, we could see the timber, wooden type of construction. But conventionally around us, what we see now are the bricks and concrete blocks. Laterite, it is also a naturally available material. We are cutting the laterite blocks from the surroundings. But laterite is not that used nowadays because of the weathering resistance, inferior weathering resistance. That is an issue related with the laterite. Laterite was used from in our traditional construction also. But mostly nowadays around us, the conventional practice is using the concrete blocks and bricks, the common burnt clay bricks. But what about the sieve technology? Actually, sieve technology options are proposed, especially for the walls, are proposed with the objective of improving the traditional options we were practicing in the olden days, like mud blocks. Mud blocks is an improvement of adobe, stabilized mud blocks. I should say stabilized mud blocks, not simply mud blocks. Stabilizing the mud blocks for improving the characteristics. Yesterday's presentation also we have seen, sir has shown us many examples of the stabilized SMB, stabilized mud block buildings. And interlocking blocks they are proposing, and to reduce the utilization of the materials to avoid the mortar, with the concept of material efficiency. And the next option, stone masonry blocks. What are these stone masonry blocks? If we are able to use the rubble directly, there is labor is excessively needed. And what are the drawbacks of rubble? Rubble is not having a definite shape. The weight is high. Weight of the rubble blocks or stone is very high. If you are able to make the stone masonry blocks utilizing the rubble pieces, small rubble stone boulders and mixed with lean concrete, we'll be able to get the appearance of the rubble masonry and we'll get a definite shape block. So actually it's an improvement of the stone. And now what is this Lato block? Lato block is an improvement. It is a technology proposed by SCRC, Chennai, Central Structural Engineering Research Institute, Chennai. Laterite is mixed either with cement or lime. Cement or lime is used as the binders, and curing at a temperature of 150 degrees Celsius, steam curing. So what is the advantage of steam curing compared with the burnt clay bricks? You can just imagine the energy we are using for baking the bricks. But here in the case of Lato blocks, we need only 150 degrees Celsius, less energy is required. And that also comes as an improvement of this laterite blocks, overcoming the drawback of laterite. The main drawback of laterite is weathering resistance only, and that can be overcome by the introduction or utilization of this Lato blocks. So these are the sieve technology option, but how many of us are aware of these options? Why we are not practicing it? That's the another question. So with respect to these aspects, we need to evaluate all these aspects when we consider about sustainable technological option. That means we are forgetting about that people part. Socio-cultural aspect, every time we are forgetting. There is no awareness about the technology. Awareness is the basic thing for acceptance. So something is lacking. I think policy interventions are required for making it more popular, even though the technological options are available. Engineering students or technical students and other academicians, actually we are academicians, we are not able to practice it. But other stakeholders, why they are not using it? We have to see some changes in the policy. Now, coming to the walls, first we discussed about the foundation, and then under the superstructure, we were discussing about the masonry units. Now, with respect to the bonding, conventionally we are using, we see when we look around, if they are using brick masonry plastered both sides. And for that plastering, we use English bond, cement plastering. But sieve technology option, if they are going for the brick, they use either Flemish bond with cement pointing, plastering is avoided, and or Ratra bond. Actually, this Ratra bond and Flemish bond, when we compare with the labor requirement is with respect to skilled labor requirement, it is bit higher compared with the English bond. So that can be a reason for the low acceptance or inferiority of the, I don't know, what should I say? Maybe for propagating this, maybe it can be considered as the main hindrances in propagating this type of technology, even though the exposed brickwork is having such a good appearance. Why people are not adopting it? We have to think about that. Yeah, this is English pond. We know this elevation and this Ratra bond. Yeah, the previous it was Flemish bond. So we can see the difference in appearance. Usual English bond and Flemish bond. SIF technology option, they use the Flemish bond and cement plastering is only done. And with respect to the Ratra bond, actually Ratra bond technology is a very, compared to other type of masonry, we will get the thermal comfort because of the cavity type of construction, but still we are not using it. Ratra bond construction, I don't think I need to explain because most of you know about all these technological options. Just showing it to get an idea about the results. We did an evaluation. I'll show you the results. Yeah, under superstructure, we have the next lintel beam, what we know. Usually in conventional openings, conventional options, we go for the lintels. Traditionally, we were using this stone lintels, wooden lintels, all those things. Traditionally, we could see it in the palaces and temples. But nowadays, we can only think about RCC lintels throughout the building. We will construct it as a around the walls. We will only use this RCC lintels. But SIF technology options, they use to construct the arches, precast lintels, and they also use the stone lintels or wooden lintels as we earlier used in the case of the traditional buildings. Yeah, this is a corbelled arch. So these are the pictures of different type of arches. The aesthetic appearance of the arches is very good compared with the RCC lintels. Material efficiency is there. In the case of the normal lintel, we need to use steel reinforcements, but in the case we don't need. Comparing with the material requirement, energy requirement, embedded energy of the materials, especially with respect to material efficiency, arches are the sustainable option. But the problem is with the labor requirement. Labor requirement is very high compared with the other option. Yeah, now coming to the ventilation, openings and ventilation. Usually for opening, we go for the normal type of windows. But this is a peculiarity of the SIF buildings. We can see the honeycomb brickwork, jali work for natural ventilation. Yeah, this is a picture where we can see the natural ventilation, how it is provided. This is a picture from the SIF technology building. And here also there's an auditorium, how they are getting the natural ventilation utilizing this honeycomb brickwork or the jali works. Yesterday's presentation also we have seen the picture of different type of jali works. Yeah, this is also a picture from residential building, how they are getting the normal natural ventilation. Yeah, now coming to the roofing. In roofing option, we have only one option. When we think the material, if we see the census reports, we can see the practice of materials every 10 years, how it is changing. We won't be able to see any thatched roof or even tile roof, not able to see in the census report recently. In early days, most of the buildings, we were using only tile roof. But now, I don't know whether we are able to see any tile roof. If you are able to see the tile roof, that is placed, tiles are just placed over the RCC roofing to get that aesthetic appearance or to protect it from the leakage of RCC roof. That way the tile roofing is provided. Otherwise, everyone is going for RCC roofing. So you can just imagine how much wastage of material is there. We are utilizing reinforced cement concrete for the roofing, and over the RCC roofing, you are again placing this tiles, means how much material is wasted in that case. But in our traditional construction, we were using timber frames, and over the timber frames, we were using tile roofing. I'm not arguing for going back to those olden days and we need to use the palm leaves or thatch roofs. I'm not saying like that. We have to think about alternative options that can reduce these environmental implications of resource depletion. in the case of safe technology, we have the filler slab roofing, and we have the shell roofing, precast brick panel roofing, L-pan roofing. I think most of you may be aware about the filler slab roofing, but what about the other options? All these technological options are already proven, but still we are not using it. Yeah, this is a filler slab roofing. The position below the neutral axis, actually the concrete is not required. That case, we have only tensile stress. We are providing the reinforcement to take the tensile stress. And that case, the concrete is only acting as a filler material. So we can replace the filler material by utilizing any locally available material. Here in this case, most commonly, most popularly, we used to see the MP tiles placed in such a way that an air gap is created in between two tiles so that there will be a thermal comfort inside the building. Instead of this MP tiles, we can use the coconut shells. And yesterday's presentation, we have seen the stabilized mud blocks made for using as the filler material for the slabs also. So we have many options that can be utilized. I should say that we should go for the locally available options if you are thinking about environment friendliness and sustainability. Yeah, this also is a picture of roofing. I hope I was able to cover all the technological options. Actually, these options were, I had shown all these options just before showing the results. Okay, so we are actually evaluating the technology with respect to 4 P's, like people actually socio-cultural factors, interest of the people, acceptance of the people, awareness. If I'm interested about a particular technology or anything, then only I will accept it. If I have awareness on a particular option, then only I'll buy that one. For example, our mobile phone also. We have many options around us. If we have, before buying a particular phone, we should check about all the specification and all those things. Without that, we won't adopt it. The same thing with respect to our construction technology also. Actually, in this case, we don't have much options available for getting the awareness on these technological option, even though it is available. I should say that policy implications should come, policy interventions, not implication, policy intervention should come for propagating this technological option. The evaluation results, before going to the results, I'll show one more evaluation based on, this also. Under roofing option, the ferrocement roofing channels are also an innovative option. So evaluation of construction practices in Kerala with respect to, before coming to this slide, I should show you one more slide also. Yeah, actually I had a problem because earlier I was a problem when I changed my system. Actually this presentation is different. Maybe I'll just explain with this. Some more slides are actually missing in this. Okay. Yeah, this is, before coming to this slide, I need to show you one more slide regarding the evaluation of the technology based on the embodied energy also. Actually, those slides are missing in this. Unfortunately, I had some issue with my system and I changed it. And this is my son's system and I think it's a different presentation. Yeah, anyway, I'll proceed with this. With respect to the evaluation, why the safe technology options, there is a failure. What are the reasons for the failure? From the evaluation, we could understand that it is the poor acceptance among the public. That means when we compare the 4 P's, socio-cultural aspects, economy aspects, environmental aspects, and technology. Economy and environment, those are the basic concepts of safe technology options. With respect to technology, it is already proven, strength and durability. But who should accept that? The public, they don't have any awareness about this new, the technological options introduced. That created an inferior view about this technological option. That became the main reason for the failure of safe technology. So the failure of SIF technology in the socio-cultural aspect, it created inferior, means acceptance of the technology is inferior, awareness is not there. Those are the reason. But what is the issue with the conventional technological options? Conventional technological option, people will accept it because it is easily available. Everyone, even I am using, my friend is using, around us we see only conventional technological options. So with respect to acceptance and awareness, conventional technology is always the best. Only issue is with respect to environment sustainability. But what about our traditional technological options? Now, if we do an evaluation, actually this is the result. I got the result like this. Traditional technological options are the sustainable options. Shall we go back to the olden days and we'll be able to adopt the technology use? What we can do at present, we have to think about the options that will be able to improve the traditional technological options to get the same advantage of conventional options. We need to think about the researchers, those are focusing in that way. So that case, the basic objective of the sustainable technology is utilization of natural materials or waste materials. Those are the sustainable options with respect to, after this evaluation, we came to that conclusion that traditional technological options are the best options, but we have to think about the new technological options utilizing the renewable materials, natural materials, or that can utilize the waste materials. So there are some options based on this evaluation under building blocks or masonry units. When we think about natural materials or when we think about waste materials, we have to think about the researchers helping in propagating this technology. Bamboo construction is there. So there are many researchers there. So only thing is that we should be able to propagate this technology. Under mud construction, we have the traditional options. So what we need to do at present is, still we need to work further on this mud construction technology in improving the durability characteristics of the technology. And one more, another innovative option, straw bale technology. I'll come to that details. And here in the presentation, the coming slides, I'll be showing the works of some of my students. Actually, my students are working on this. And concrete building blocks, that is the popular option available around us. When we think about the construction of a building, the first option coming for wall is the brick. If we want to reduce the cost, the next option coming is the concrete blocks. So around us, whenever we think about constructing a building with the concept of reducing the cost, naturally we will go for concrete block construction. But concrete blocks, the inferiority of the concrete blocks is, there is a competition among the manufacturers. So they want to reduce the cost. How can they reduce the cost? They will reduce the content of the cement. Naturally, the quality is less. They are not sure about the codes. The local manufacturers around us, many small scale industries are there around us. They are not thinking about the code. No standard or no specification is followed. Without any scientific know-how, they are manufacturing the blocks. Their only objective is to reduce the cost and sell this material. That means how the cost can be reduced? Cost can be reduced in two ways: reducing the content of cement and reducing the content of fine aggregate. What is the common fine aggregate what we are using? We are using cement, but nowadays we are using sand as a fine aggregate. Sand is not available. Sand mining is there. Sand mining is prohibited. So naturally, the local people, they are manufacturing this block. They will think about the alternatives available locally. We have the manufactured sand, but the manufactured sand is costly. They used to think about the quarry waste available. Quarry waste compared with this manufactured sand is very cheap. So naturally, they will go for the quarry waste. Quarry waste. So two options in front of them. Reducing the sand means eliminated. Sand is eliminated. Reducing the fine aggregate, eliminating sand, they are going for the quarry waste. and reducing the content of cement. So one of my students is working on this only, utilization of waste material replacing the cement and utilization of waste materials to replace the fine aggregates. Some of the students are working on that. And alternatives to cement. How can we eliminate cement? Actually, I should say we have to find an alternative to replace cement. 100% replacement is not that possible. So what we need to think, at least we should be able to partially replace cement so that we can reduce cement production. Reduction of cement, reducing cement production is not possible, but still if the consumption of cement is reducing, naturally there will be a little bit environment friendliness will be there. So that case, we have to think about supplementary cementitious materials. What are the supplementary cementitious materials? Supplementary cementitious materials or pozzolanic materials having no binding property by its own. They can partially replace cement only. They will be having a rich content of silica and alumina, and iron combined. Most of the waste materials available around us are having this property. So we can partially replace cement. Sorry, one moment. Now, the second option is geopolymers. Actually, geopolymers are new innovations, not that new, but they can completely replace cement. So 100% replacement is possible. So we can take one by one. First one is bamboo construction. I am not going to the details of bamboo construction, just showing you the possible technological options with respect to bamboo. We know the advantage, renewable material, we can find it easily growing. And this is a picture where you can see how bamboo is used in roofing. Even in large span roofing, how the bamboo can be utilized. Yeah, this picture shows how it can be utilized for the walls. And this also, again, different applications of the bamboo as the roof. Yeah, this also is a bamboo building with the roofing, pillar, columns, even the walls, flooring is also made of bamboo. Bamboo flooring again. Yeah, this you can, it's clear from the picture how the bamboo is utilized as a plinth beam. Yeah, again showing the picture. These are the different utilization of the bamboo. Bamboo is used in walling and even in the case of the doors. Yeah, now the other option, this is the traditional options we were used in the case of mud construction. So we are talking about the masonry units, which are, we can utilize the natural materials. First option, timber, we can go for bamboo. And natural material, mud is locally available. Even when we go for the earthwork excavation for constructing a building, the excavated soil from the that pit can be used for the mud construction. Just what we need to do is we have to check the property of the soil collected from that excavation. And first we need to do the grading, different particle size. And then we need to think about the stabilizers. Then only we can go for stabilized mud blocks or the suitable type of construction using mud. From the very old days, traditional construction, we were using adobe, cob, wattle and daub, rammed earth. All these things yesterday Sir was explaining. I'm not going to the details, just showing you the options. These are the traditional options. Yeah. Now, the third option is this also an ongoing research of one of my students. This is fiber reinforced lateritic blocks. Earlier I was explaining you about the lato blocks. Laterite is having some drawbacks. It is naturally available. We can cut laterite blocks and we can use it as a masonry unit for construction. but it is having low weathering resistance. That's the basic problem of laterite block. But in the case of Lato block developed by SERC, they were mixing the lateritic soil with cement or lime based on the property, based on the clay content of the soil. Either cement or lime is decided, and that is used as a stabilizer. If clay content is more, we can go for the lime. So naturally available soil is collected. After checking the gradation of the soil, percentage of clay, sand, silt, deciding about the stabilization material, either cement or lime. I'm talking not about this one, about the Lato block. So cement plus binder, and then they are going for the curing, 150 degrees Celsius steam curing. Compared with the burnt clay brick, that is advantageous. We are using only 150 degrees steam curing, but still in that case, we are utilizing energy. With respect to energy consumption, it is not that sustainable. So in this particular research, that student was working with how to improve the property of the lateritic soil by using stabilizers. Actually, he was using the stabilizers, the binder like cement or lime was used, and then quarry dust and sand was used as a stabilizer. That depending upon the gradation of the soil particle, quarry dust or sand was used, and the binder cement or lime. So these are the basic stabilizers, and further need to improve the ductility characteristics and improve the strength characteristics. Waste fibrous materials, that also locally available. Plastic waste locally available, coir cutting waste locally available, and the cement bags. We used to see many cement bags in the construction site. That also is a waste material. He was cutting the cement bags and making it in the fibrous form and mixing it with the soil and pressing it in the normal type of hand pressing machine. The same machine, yesterday's presentation, Venkataraman Reddy sir was showing the machine. It was developed by ISC Bangalore only. So he was using that manual pressing machine and cured for 28 days. And this particular block was having comparatively better strength with the normal, either compared with the, it can be used for load bearing masonry, compared with the laterite block, or even compared with the normal burnt clay bricks. It is comparable strength. That means whenever we think about sustainable construction, this is the important aspect. We have to think about material efficiency. We should not waste materials. If you are getting a higher strength for a particular block, load bearing masonry, usually we need a strength of 5.5 Newton per millimeter square. But in high strength blocks, sometimes we'll be getting a strength of 15 Newton per millimeter square, 15 MPa. But that much strength is not required. This particular block is, I'm saying, comparable in the sense that sufficient strength with respect to load bearing masonry. The maximum strength without even stabilization. He was actually checking with 3 different types of soil and around our campus. That means if we consider about the locally available soil, around 30 kilometer radius in the Cochin University campus, 30 kilometer radius, he was collecting the sample and checking the possibility of different type of stabilizers. So this one is fiber reinforced lateritic block. Yeah, this is another option, straw bale block. I'll come to that in detail later. Yeah, this other second option. Actually, when we are thinking about utilization of waste materials, we have to think about reducing the natural materials, reducing the conventional materials. So this is an option, replacing the fine aggregates. Actually not able to completely replace the fine aggregate, partially replacing the fine aggregate with the locally available waste. This also is a part of the PhD work done by another student. And he was utilizing 4 different, the same thing only, without any scientific know-how. The local manufacturers are utilizing quarry waste. So how can we improve the strength by utilizing quarry waste? And one more different type of waste, fly ash also was used as a replacement for fine aggregate. Lateritic waste, actually it is a waste from the demolished building, laterite waste. And jarofix, earlier we were getting jarofix from the Binani Singh, but now Binani Singh is closed and we are not getting Jarofix. It is a waste material from the Singh manufacturing industries. But this Jarofix is plenty available in India and around the world also. So this fly ash and Jarofix are selected with the perspective of plenty available waste material, and laterite waste is a demolition waste collected from the building, and quarry waste is collected with the perspective of this is the common waste everyone is using. So we need to check the strength and we have to improve the strength. By utilizing these materials, 30% of the fine aggregate replacement was possible without compromising the strength and durability, strength characteristics, and at the same time with higher durability characteristics. So that was an advantage. There we were able to save the cement, save the fine aggregate, not the cement, fine aggregate, replacing the fine aggregate by utilizing this waste materials. Yeah. Now this is another option to replace cement by utilizing supplementary cementitious materials. These are also part of the PhD works. First student was utilizing roof tile powder as a supplementary. Actually, roof tile means the clay tile only. The common MB tiles we used to see around us. We get the waste material from the demolished building, and also we get the waste material from tile factories where in the premises we get many unburned tile pieces and those things. She has collected the material from the tile factory, and after grinding it into fine powder and then mixing it with cement, there also a replacement of 20%. Even 20% replacement is a very good achievement, because we can save that much cement, means it is a sustainable option, because 1 kilogram of cement manufacture itself will produce 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide. So we can, every saving in cement is pointing towards sustainability. So in the second option, rice husk ash was utilized as a cement replacement. Rice husk ash, this is also an this is actually an innovative option, especially with respect to Kerala. We need to propagate the paddy cultivation because around us we are seeing that our paddy cultivation is declining. If you are able to connect these two objectives and we are able to get, whenever I say I propose this option as a rice husk ash, the usual question I'm getting from the public is that rice is not available, paddy is not available, then where you get this rice husk ash? But it's not like that. We have to think it in a holistic manner. Whatever we are proposing, we should be able to think with respect to all the concepts. This is an option. Maybe we can propagate in that way for improving the paddy cultivation. Yeah, so rice husk ash, usually the rice husk ash is used in the rice mills as a fuel. Rice husk is used as a fuel. It is having fuel value. So we used to see in earlier days also we were using rice husk for burning in the kitchen also. We were using it as a fuel. So this rice husk ash, if it is burned under controlled conditions, it will be having amorphous silica, and that will be having this pozzolanic property, and it can also used as a supplementary cementitious material. Definitely, if it is burned under controlled condition, will be having that property. But what will happen to that ash, whether it is useful? Actually, the ash we are getting from the rice mills, where they are utilizing the fuel value and they are throwing it away. But if you are able to utilize it, that will be a sustainable option. Actually, one student is presently working on that, and he could achieve some satisfactory results on this. So that case, we can utilize the fuel value and then we get the ash and we can use it as a cement replacement material, and that could also replace 20% of the cement. So these are the options regarding sustainable technological options utilizing waste materials, alternative material to cement and aggregate. Means partially replacing cement and partially replacing aggregate. Now the most important option, completely replacing cement. This is geopolymer. Geopolymer can completely replace cement. Alkali solution is added to dry mixed ingredients. Usually for source material, silica, silica and alumina should be there. Clay tile waste, earlier example also, I was saying that clay tile waste is using as pozzolana because it is silica rich, alumina is there, iron content is there. Such waste materials, they are having silica, alumina content, higher percentage of silica and alumina. They can be utilized as a source material for geopolymer. Alkali solution, diluted alkali solution is mixed with this. Usually sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide is used. The mixture is pressed in a block making machine and cured at room temperature. Sometimes in certain type of waste materials used as a source material for geopolymer. For example, fly ash is also used as a source material for geopolymer. Ambient curing won't give you significant results. That case, we should go for accelerated curing, 60 degrees Celsius, 80 degrees Celsius for 24 hours, 12 hours, like that. But this clay tile waste, ambient curing was possible. So definitely we can suggest it for normal manufacture of normal geopolymer blocks. So these are some of the researchers. Yeah, now this is another option. Actually, this is not an innovative option. This is already practicing in different parts of the world, not introduced in Kerala. In most of my presentation, I used to propagate this particular technology. But unfortunately, I was not able to implement this technology or make it prove this technology in our environment. The researchers are going on only. We have to think about this option. Earlier, I told you about the ricer's cash. Now, straw bale is another option that also from the paddy fields. We all know what straw is. Straw is the stem part of the paddy. Actually, the leafy part we are using for cattle feed. And the stem part of the paddy, usually we burn it in the field itself. After harvesting, we'll burn the paddy stem or the straw in the field and just dispose it as such. But if you are able to cut the stem part of the paddy and we can make it in a bale form. Yeah, I'll show you the slide. Yeah, bale form means like the form of a big block. Usually now these baling machines are available in Kerala also, on the northern part of Kerala, in Palakkad, Thrissur. I'm not sure about the southern parts. They are using the baling machines for transporting the straw. But most of the places, they have only cylindrical molds. And so it will be in the shape of a cylinder. Maybe most of you have seen it in the form of a cylinder. But for straw, straw bale technology, if you want to use it as a masonry, we need to make it in the form of a block-like shape, like in the form of a bigger rectangular shape block. So you can utilize it as a wall system in which bales of straw are stacked up. Sorry, 1 minute. So these bales of straw, I'll show you the picture of the straw bales. They are pinned together, capped by an assembly to distribute the roof load and then plastered. So this is the picture. You can see it from the figure itself. Just like our brick masonry wall, one bale is kept above the other, but not exactly like the brick masonry walls. We are not able to keep any mortar in between. Instead, we have to pin it together in between the straw bales. Some in the European countries, they're actually using bamboo or some other wooden material, and it is pierced through the straw bales and they will be capped by a wooden beam. You can see it in the picture also. They are placing a wooden truss over that. So the wooden beam will be there acting as a cap, and over that the roof truss is placed and the roofing is provided. So there are different methods. Here in the picture, you can see it as a load-bearing masonry. And like a non-load-bearing masonry, like the post and beam construction or the frame construction, that type also we can use straw bale. It's clear from the picture. The columns and the beam is there, everything made of wood only. And then in between the columns, the straw bales are kept and they are tied up together and then plastered together. But the important thing with respect to Kerala is whether it is suitable to our conditions. Because of the humidity, we have to check the suitability, need to do the research after keeping it under sun for different seasons, and then only we can check the suitability of this material in Kerala condition. Yeah, this is also a prefabricated option, mold cell panel. It is a prefabricated option from this straw bale. So we can make it as a prefabricated unit and then transport it to the site and then construct the building, rather than keeping it in the site and then placing one above the other, because we have a security issue in that case. Straw is easily, it will burn off if there is a flame or something like that. There are many issues, or if a rain is there, then also the entire thing will be ruined. But if you are thinking about a mold cell panel, we can fabricate it in the factory and then transport it and then place it. So there will be a frame, laminated timber frame will be there, and in between the timber frame, the straw bales are placed and then plastering is done. Actually, they are using lime is more suitable in this case. Whatever is naturally available, that is more suitable. Lime or mud or combination pozzolana is commonly used in the case of straw bale. Yeah, this is also a picture showing the details. So this will give you an idea about how the frame is made in the case of mold cell panels. 12 mm diameter. Actually, they are using in this particular design reinforcement. This is a work actually done by my BTech student. They were doing it for their BTech project, and they were using the reinforcement bars. But I don't think that the reinforcement bars are not working. We have to use the natural materials like bamboo for making the panels. Yeah, other straw building techniques are straw clay building. It's already available everywhere, mixing the straw and making, we in our traditional building also we were mixing straw with clay and using it for construction. And mortar bales is another option, but it is not that advisable. If you're going for the straw bale construction, either we should go for the post and bale construction or the load bearing construction. And press straw panels, those are the mold cell panels. And here are some examples for straw bale buildings. Yeah, these are the tools commonly used. We need only bale press. Earlier it was not available in Kerala, but most of the places now it is available. Only thing is that instead of the cylindrical mold, we need to go for the rectangular molds. And bale needle is also required. And then something is required to smoothen the walls, say persuader or something like that. We need to smoothen the walls. Then only we can plaster this. Yeah, these are the examples. The advantage is that after constructing, after plastering, we are not able to identify the material, what type of material. We won't be able to differentiate it. The thickness will be a little bit higher compared to the normal walls. So maybe we may misunderstand it with a rammed earth construction. Because mostly the plastering will be made of mud or natural materials. So we'll be thinking that we won't be able to identify the type of material inside. Yeah, this is also a picture. You can see when we see this building, we are not sure what type of building. We'll see, we can think it can be a brick building. Not this also made of straw bale only. They call this building, they made it in the shape of a butterfly. So they call it building. Actually, I did a visit in 2006. They call this building as butterfly building. So these are the different views of that building. This is also another building made of the straw. Entire wall, roof, everything made of the straw. Yeah, this also is a from example from straw bale from Netherlands itself. And roofing, thatch roofing, actually they are using in this case. straw is used for the roofing. Even for bigger buildings like conference halls, we can utilize this concept of, we can utilize this straw bale technology. Yeah, I would like to conclude. So if we, with respect to this ricer's cash and straw bale, those are the naturally available materials. Definitely further research is required on this. Otherwise, these are the best options with respect to Kerala. Straw bale, even without straw bale also, if we can think about naturally available materials like improvisation of the lateritic blocks through laterite, like the fiber reinforced laterite blocks, so stabilized mud blocks, improvising the mud construction or improvising the traditional construction, and utilizing the waste materials in our conventional materials like the concrete blocks, replacing the cement and aggregates. Definitely, we will be able to move towards sustainability and we will be able to achieve our dream of this shelter for all. Thank you.
Any questions from anywhere?
I think I can stop the presentation.
Madam, any question session is there or?
Yeah. If there is any question, definitely I'm happy to answer.
Madam, I have a question.
Okay.
Dr. Hariharan. See,
Hello,
you said 5% of carbon dioxide is made out of cement. And actually, you were talking about replacement of several methods of replacing cement. But whatever, it is all experiment you are conducting in your lab, and your students are testing all these things. But in bulk processing, is it possible? The alternative what you have said is geopolymers are being used as a replacement for cement. But again, you said the bamboo. What is the life of bamboo? Is it available in plenty, especially in Kerala or India? I don't know.
Yeah, sir, I'll answer one by one. Okay, first you asked about a supplementary cementitious material replacing the cement. Actually, I'm not the first person doing the research on this. Many researchers are, many works are already there, and even standard codes are also available. But what is the innovation in my research is that how can we utilize it in the case of Kerala with respect to the locally available waste material? That is what we were inventing. Like the local materials available, one student, with respect to the ricer's cash also, we have ricer's case available in Kerala. In India also, rice is, paddy cultivation is there. And with respect to clay tile waste, because wherever the silica is available, we need to consider the chemical composition of the material. Silica and alumina are available in plenty. If we can utilize it as a supplementary cementitious material.
But again, silica and mica is also one of the ingredients of cement manufacturing also.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, what is our intention?
Main ingredient.
Yeah.
But that is also in scarce.
Yes, sir.
Not in plenty.
Yes, yeah, silica and alumina is there. We need definitely, but we have to replace cement means we need to think about alternate materials having this particular chemical compounds.
Alternate material in a massive way.
Yeah, fly ash is available plenty. Fly ash is having silica.
Fly ash is it available? It's a byproduct of factory.
Yes, sir. That is the main advantage. Whenever we think about waste materials,
I think it is being used. Even the FSCT byproducts are there. I think somebody is very strong.
But around the world, fly ash is. Maybe I can show you the figures. If we simply search in Google, then also we can see fly ash is plenty available, and also that Jarofix is plenty available. And ricer's cash with respect to Kerala. Nowadays, it is not that plenty available.
What I suggest is now, see, there was a scarcity in sand. You have
Yes,
replaced that with the M sand. Similarly, now mostly that is sand is actual sand is not there. Most of the it is not.
yeah, most of
they
them are
they
using M sand only.
not
M sand.
allowing to take it from these, but somebody is doing some mischief. That's another way. But M sand is being used for the construction. Similarly, what is required is we have to totally remove the cement. That such an alternative material is required for the construction of construction things. That is what we have to think
Yeah,
of.
yes, sir.
Not
This
all- not all-
geopolymer,
not all- That's all temporary measures which we can actually. I really appreciate your hard work and the research field, and your students are doing it. It's a wonderful thing. I was also a teacher in engineering college, which I am talking about. I was the principal of MBS Engineering College. Okay. Now, as I am talking, so what is required is see total change.
yes, sir. Yes,
A
sir. That's
steep
what I
change.
thought.
How
Yes.
can we do that? That is what it is required.
Yeah,
Of course,
the same thing only, sir.
Polluting is a polluting material too. How can we avoid that? That's what we have to think. That's what
Yeah,
my
the same thing. Yes,
I
sir.
know you will be able to find able to do it.
Yeah, that's the same thing I told. As academicians, we are not able to do. We can do research, but there should be some measures, some policy intervention should be there for implementing this research in the actual field, like the
Yeah.
geopolymers. If our research in the like we have many institutes like CBRI, Central Building Research Institute, they are propagating this. Materials are plenty available, but why the common man we are not able to adopt this? That is the main thing happened with the case of Kerala State Namati Kendra also. They were having many technological, but no policy intervention was not there strongly for implementing it.
Actually, this has to start from our organization.
Yes,
that is,
yes,
Aramula.
yes, definitely.
Vasu
Yeah,
Vidya
you have
have to take the steps to find some alternative materials to all this.
yes, yes,
So they can
definitely. You can do much on
research.
that.
I think Ernakulam can utilize Vasu Vidya Gurukulam for as a research center. Whatever central government can utilize this institute as a research center, and all the institutions, engineering institution, architectural institution can help them to build or to find out alternatives.
Yes, sir.
This is the
Cochin
what my
University,
suggestion is.
yeah. We Cochin University of Science and Technology, other engineering colleges, even KTU, we have limitations. We can do the research, but some research institutes should be there
But
in propagating this research, lab to field. That should be there.
unfortunately, yeah, this Vastu Vidya is not involved in your curriculum at all. Nowhere, even an elective subject, it is not being included. That's a very
See,
wrong thing. I think
Sir, it is there in Cochin University syllabus. Vastu
Cochin
Vidya.
University is there, NIT is there. Because I have
Yes.
studied in NIT is there. I learned from there.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Madam, I have a question. The Lato block, the steam curing is for improving the strength or saving the time?
Lato block, actually, it is proposed by SERC, Structural Engineering Research Institute. They are using it for curing. Yeah, maybe if you are going for the normal curing, we won't get that much strength. For improving strength and durability characteristics, they are using 150 degrees Celsius steam curing.
Okay, that percentage of cement, we have any idea?
No,
How
that
much?
depends upon the type of soil. Even in Kerala, if we collect laterite from different parts, the combination of cement soil gradation will be different. So that depends upon clay content. Yesterday, sir was saying about the clay content, silt and sand. Based on that, the percentage of binder will be different.
Okay.
So
Then
maybe in general, we can say something like 5% cement, 3% clay, something like that. But definitely it will depend upon the gradation and chemical composition.
Okay, okay. Then how much be the strength, any Just for
Lato
example.
block, yeah, Lato block, the strength they are getting around 7.5 Newton per millimeter square. But
Okay.
load bearing, that is the main concept of sustainable construction. For load bearing masonry, we need a maximum, we need a strength of 5.5 Newton per millimeter square. But if you are going for a block having a higher strength means, and we don't need that, but still we are using it, means there is a wastage of material. So whatever is required, that only need to use. So that is the basic concept with respect to sustainability.
Okay. Okay. Madam, one more question. The geopolymer block, 1:3:6. How much be the compressive strength we get?
Geopolymer also, she was working. Actually, concrete blocks, we can go up to 148. 1:12 is the proportion. 1:12. So 148 means 4 parties fine aggregate, 8 parties coarse aggregate. So she started the work with 148, but with clay tile waste, that depends upon the strength of the geopolymer compound. So in this case, strength was a little bit lower, like the 33 grade cement. Strength only she got from that particular geopolymer. So she went for a higher mix 136. She got the strength requirement 5 Newton per millimeter square.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So if you are getting if you are able to get a high strength geopolymer like fly ash, GGBS, all these materials are having silica and alumina content. And also one more thing, glass waste, all these are having high alumina, high silica content. That can be used as good source material for geopolymer. So that case we can go for a much lower lean mix, and we can achieve more cost effectiveness and sustainability.
Okay.
Hi, Madam. I'm Vijay Kumar. I just want to ask you a couple of questions. I heard about your discussing about the straw bale blocks. How can we improve the fire resistivity of the straw bale blocks? Also, it can, after some time, due to humid conditions existing in our country, it can cause fungus and maybe it can generate bad smell. Also, maybe can we use it for a two-story building other than simply as a partition wall or a load-bearing wall? I think it can be only a partition block with a timber pack and that vertical pinnings. Is there any code of practice we have developed for using these straw bale blocks in our country?
Yeah, straw bale blocks, actually we don't have any code in India. In Europe they have a Euro code and straw bale code is there. And with respect to this load bearing masonry, it can go up to single story buildings. But with respect to the second one, post and beam construction, their straw bale is using as the infills, they can go for the multi-storied buildings. And regarding this fire resistance, straw bale as such, it will burn off very fast. So during the construction, we need to take care of with protecting it from the rain, protecting it from the humid conditions, and we need to protect it from fire. And after plastering, with this Euro code, they have conducted the fire resistance test, and it will behave in the normal way after plastering as any other building material. But in our condition, humidity is very high. So if there is any chance of entering moisture inside means, definitely it will degrade. So we need to work much on this for improving, doing research on this before implementing in Kerala. During my research, there was one building that was the first building in India. They constructed it in the year 98 in Trichy. There is one college, Bishop Heber College, and they also were interested in appropriate technology techniques. And one professor was there. His name was Emmanuel, and he invited experts from Europe, and they conducted a workshop in that college. And I have visited that building in 2004. But later, when one of my students was working on this straw bale construction, I told him to visit that building. And he went during 2012, and he was saying that they have demolished the building. Maybe there can be issues. We can expect the issues like that. So more research is required before implementing it.
Is there any building constructed by your students in Kochi University, this straw bale building type? Anything we can see at present, anything available?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Actually, my BTech students, they did one wall and we were just checking. We thought we need to check, but that was not, maybe because of their poor, the students are very weak in this. Maybe because of that, it could not survive even one single season. Further, we need to work more on this.
So maybe we can say that in straw bale construction in Kerala, still it is in the beginning stages.
In the beginning stage only, just I was introducing one concept only. It's an option for research, a very good option for research. That's the reason I had shown that.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Is there any questions from the participants?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually,
Yes.
I have a question. As far as Kerala is considered, for past few years, we are facing continuous flooding. So the soil structure itself is being changing. The underground water flow channels is being changing. So as a structural part, whether these innovative technologies, sustainable technologies can withstand this flooding and all. Whether how these structures may respond to these natural calamities.
Yeah, Arati. Actually, that is the basic thing with respect to sustainable technology. Okay. So you should be very specific with respect to the technology. Sustainable in the sense that we have to check the technology, what I am telling you, sustainable in a particular place won't be sustainable in another place. So we have to check the sustainability with respect to each place. Then only, if you're asking me about a particular technology, I can tell you. But for example, if you're asking me whether brick is suitable, yeah, we can use brick, no issues. Then what about the concrete blocks? With respect to the normal conditions, concrete block is suitable. Soil conditions are changing means we have to think much on the foundation. Okay. And also with respect to the walling material, common walling material, what we are using at present are suitable, like the cement mortar, concrete, everything is sustainable. But sustainability, in the sense itself, there are meaning is different. If you're especially asking on strength and durability characteristics, I can definitely tell you. But with respect to sustainability, meaning is little bit more vast. We need to think about all the aspects.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Arti.
Excuse me, I have a question, if you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
your name, please.
My name is Rajendra Nair. I have a question here. The topic was very good. It is to be considered these days when we are finding short of construction materials, and we are going through a situation where environment is damaged to the core for construction. And in yesterday's presentation, doctor was telling about 6 to 8 ton of concrete, quarry or granite is being used per person in his life during a year, probably average per capita per year, which is a huge quantity of material available from environmental resources. Now, replacement materials are always welcome, and it's very good. Your presentation was very, very well done. Here the question, it's not question, it's some suggestion mixed with the question. How do we do the quality check and control for these new building blocks, particularly when we don't have any conforming standards and testing inspection machines and expertise on a locality basis?
Yeah, sir. Actually, controlling measures in the sense that from the locally available manufacturers we are buying, or the new innovations we are proposing.
No, that is not what I'm asking. Now, known
With respect to the new
materials such as-
innovations.
Now, I'm talking about basically, you see, the craftsmen, the people around, the masons, the carpenters, the engineers, they all know about old building materials which they were using for ages. Whether
Yes.
it is laterite, it is granite, or timber, or even for the last 10, 15 years, people are using bamboo buildings. And I was told that architect Dr. Shankar has done one 5-story building somewhere in Trivandrum with bamboo. That's,
Yes, sir.
it's all happening here. But the question here is that when the normal person, when
Common
they
man.
do not know, the common man, when we talk about concrete, we talk about 350 kg per centimeter square in 28 days or whatever. Everybody knows, how many blocks to be fixed, how many in horizontal, how many in parallel, how many interlocked, and all these everybody knows. And some of these craftsmen, they know better than an engineer without even calculation, because it's a thumb rule for them. Now here, when you come to using straws or using husk as filler materials, and when you have certain binders, the process, the heat, the water, quality of water being used, everything has a bearing on these sort of blocks which are constructed. And people who use now salt water or sand with salt content in building construction, these people, if they are given these building blocks to construct something new, they will end up with a disaster. That's what I was talking about, conformity of standards. First of all, having some guidelines, some guiding standards, and conformity to those standards are very, very essential to take up these sort of materials into building blocks.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, it will be another disaster. Our friend was asking about the fire resistivity and things like these are all factors which are very, very important. And if very additional heat is coming on a building which is done by these sort of planks, people thinking that it is something like the wall was made of red bricks or something like that, and they will have something burned nearby, waste burning or something of that sort. That can also create a deformity to these sort of walls. They retain heat. And again, cooling. Is it worth cooling these things by a jet of water, a high pressure jet of water, whether it will resist the modern techniques of cleaning by using high pressure washing? There are a lot of things. It's all concerns, not comments on bad comments on your paper. It was excellent. This is to be looked at. What I was talking about is like people, they are giving a lot of importance to agriculture, paying 40,000 rupees per hectare to a farmer from the government. Like that, people have to realize the importance and seriousness of damaging the environment every day by every man, where a person for breathing alone, he is adding 500 grams to 1 kg of carbon and carbon mixtures and CH2 emissions every day into the atmosphere, in addition to thousands of kgs by different people in a month in the way of burning petrol or fuel and other stuff, using electricity, everything. We consider that a man is on an average putting about 4 to 5 kg of carbon into the atmosphere. And when we talk about renewable sustainability and things like that, the government, the people around us, they have to be more careful about these sort of things, and they should go for grants and societies and things like that to give an awareness and to give support. And that is the reason why I was asking, in small localities where people do this, craftsmen will have to do these things. There are no machines and companies available to do it. So there should be somebody, and there are hundreds of thousands of engineering colleges in Kerala.
Yeah, actually, we are doing the consultancy, sir. We are doing the consultancy.
It is not a consultancy of that sort I am talking about. I am talking about an approachable room with a pleasant face, an approachable room with a pleasant face, and an easy handling time, and a one-stop shop and a single window time bound. When these things are there, things will happen. Otherwise, it is like, thousands of projects are being done, hundreds of departments are added to the government every now and then, but nothing happens. I am talking about all this because I have been staying most of my time. I'm also an engineer. I have been spending my time, most of the time, outside India. But in the recent times, I was environmentally conscious from many years. I work on environmental projects also.
That's the thing, sir, right? There should be serious policy interventions in this. Even though we have technology innovations, but still most of us are not practicing it. Many technical people are also not aware about these innovations. even though in a way people are taking it in the wrong way, like for example, fillers lab is there. But even after seeing the fillers lab, people are going and practicing, it means definitely it will end up in a disaster only. So there should be definitely quality check should be there. Yeah, I agree with that.
Here, why the quality check is very important is that the mixture is not uniform. The contents are not uniform. The contents are not defined. The mixture is not uniform. The chemical is not, when you crush it and make a chemical, the chemical content is not uniform. Physical properties are not uniform. So essentially, before starting talking about it and before implementing these things, building a block test or the simple block test with some sort of chemicals stuff, which a professional need not necessarily be a professional college. Any arts and science college can have a small UTM, and they have already got their labs, and they have got highly paid lecturers and professors, everybody with doctorates. What are we keeping these people with the doctorates there? Let us utilize them. Please put this sort of request to the education department so that somebody will be aware of this and somebody will open their eyes. The first thing which I propose is to have the compression testing machine and some sort of sample test, whether physical or chemical, which they can do very simple, by very simple means. In the labs already available, a UTM is not going to be very expensive. Or they can use a jack with a digital reader. Now these days, these are all available. Digital reading, compression test, all this. You can add certain gadgets with even a jack, and then we can take the measurement.
Yes, sir. I think Nirmiti Kendra has this facility. Nirmiti Kendra has that facility in all their districts, all the regional centers. Kerala State Nirmiti Kendra has this facility, so anyone can approach them and they can do the quality test.
No, somebody can approach, but who will provide the awareness? How will people go?
Yeah,
even I have a resistance to go to a place where I do not need. I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of people, and I know how to go and knock a door. But even people like us, we cannot find a place to go there and ask. We have to ask somebody, is it a convenient time for you to talk to me or smile to me? That's the situation here. Then we have to express in a way that we are this, we are that, we will do that, and if you don't help me, I will do that. All this you have to do to make somebody open their mouth. So in a situation like this, particularly when we are having environmental damage all throughout, we don't know how many more years we will be able to mine these things for us without damaging the ecosystem completely. So it's, I think when people are able to come up with these sort of solutions, I think the people in authority like you are a teacher, but still you can you have the authority to talk from the perspective of learning and giving knowledge to some of these authorities and get probably something done. It's just a thought. I do not know how things happen here. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more questions from the participants? Madam, are you there? Hello. I think there is no more questions from the participants. I think we can wind up this session. And on behalf of Vastuvidya Gurukulam, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Deebaji Nair. It was an interesting session and it was a continuity to the previous webinar. Thank you all. Thank you all participants. നാളെ നമുക്ക് കാണിപ്പിയർ കൃഷ്ണ നമ്പൂതിരിപ്പാടാണ് വെബിനാർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. വിഷയം നാലുകെട്ടുകളും അതിൻ്റെ നിർമ്മാണ ദ്രവ്യങ്ങളും വാസ്തുവിദ്യയുടെ ആനുകാലിക പ്രസക്തിയുമാണ്. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
ഹലോ സർ, എനിക്ക് എന്തോ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം ഇതിനിടയ്ക്ക് പിന്നെയും വന്നു, കണക്ഷൻ പോയതാണ്.
ഓക്കെ മാഡം കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്തോളൂ. ഞാൻ ഒരു താങ്ക്സ് പറഞ്ഞതാണ്. ഒരു ചോദ്യം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു എനിക്ക്. അതായത് നമ്മള് ഇപ്പൊ കോൺക്രീറ്റ് കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷനിൽ ഒരു കോഡ് ഓഫ് പ്രാക്ടീസ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. എന്ത് ഓരോ മിക്സിനും ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഒരു കോഡ് ഓഫ് പ്രാക്ടീസ് ഉണ്ട്. പിന്നെ പഴയ നിർമ്മാണങ്ങൾ, ഇപ്പം വാസ്തുവിദ്യ ആണെങ്കിൽ ഒരു മഡ് കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ വരുമ്പോൾ അതിന്റെ ഭിത്തിയുടെ കനം ഹൈറ്റിനനുസരിച്ച് ഇത്ര വേണമെന്നൊരു തമ്പ് റൂൾ ഉണ്ട്. അതാണ് പഴയ ലേബേഴ്സ് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ ഈ സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻസിന് ഒരു കോഡ് ഓഫ് പ്രാക്ടീസ് നിലവിലുണ്ടോ അതോ ഇനിയും വരാൻ ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ചോദ്യം.
അല്ല, സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ ടെക്നോളജീസ് പറഞ്ഞില്ല, ഓരോ ഇപ്പൊ ഫിലേഴ്സ് ലാബിനും ഒക്കെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ ഓരോ ടെക്നോളജി സെപ്പറേറ്റ് എടുത്ത് കോൺക്രീറ്റിന്റെ കൂടെ തന്നെയല്ലേ ഫിലേഴ്സ് ലാബിന്റെ ഒക്കെ വരുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെയുണ്ട്. പുതിയ ഇന്നോവേഷൻസിന് ആഡ് ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നതേ ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. ഇപ്പൊ ജിയോപോളിമർ ബ്ലോക്കിൻ്റെതായിട്ട് ഒരു കോഡ് വന്നിട്ടില്ല. ജിയോപോളിമർ കോൺക്രീറ്റിൻ്റെതായിട്ട് സ്പെസിഫൈ ചെയ്ത് പറയുന്നില്ല, അങ്ങനെ വന്നിട്ടില്ല. ഇപ്പൊ ഇന്നലെ
കോഡ് ഏതാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ
ഞാനിപ്പോ കോഡിന്റെ നമ്പർ എനിക്കൊന്ന് മെസ്സേജ് ചെയ്താൽ മതി, ഞാൻ അത് റിപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യാതെ. കോഡിന്റെ നമ്പർ ഞാനിപ്പോ സാർ ഇന്നലെ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ, ഇന്നലെ വെങ്കിട്ടരാമറെഡ്ഡി സാറിന്റെ പ്രസന്റേഷനിൽ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, ആക്ച്വലി സാർ ആ മഡ് കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷന്റെ കോഡിന്റെ അത് കാണിച്ചല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ നമ്മള് സാറൊക്കെയാണ് അതിൽ ഇൻവോൾവ് ചെയ്ത് ഡെവലപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. Okay, will be sorry. There were many എന്തൊക്കെയാ പറയാ തുടങ്ങിയപ്പോ തൊട്ടേ ഇവിടെ എന്തോ എന്റെ സിസ്റ്റത്തിന് വോയിസ് കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലായിരുന്നു. സോറി അബൌട്ട് ദാറ്റ്.
ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ മോഡറേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഇവിടെ ഇരുന്നത് സുരേഷ് ആണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ഒരു സസ്റ്റൈനബിൾ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ എക്സ്പേർട്ട് ആണ്. അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ സ്വന്തം വീടിനെ പറ്റിയുള്ള ഒരു വെബിനാർ നമ്മുടെ 5th സെഷനിൽ ഉണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പം എല്ലാവരും പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം. എല്ലാവർക്കും നന്ദി. താങ്ക് യു ഓൾ.
താങ്ക് യു വെരി മച്ച് സർ. താങ്ക് യു.
അയ്യോ ശരി.